like this, and we had practiced so many drills, if there's a bomb, we all go to the band lot. If there's a tornado, we all go to the basement. If there's a fire, we take these exits on this side. We always had a plan, and this was just something that we had never planned, and nobody was telling us anything. So eventually, they're texting their parents and calling their parents, and they're saying, do you know anything about this? And the parents are all freaking out, and some of the parents started listening to the police scanners, and it was getting back to us that there were ambulances outside of our school, and we're just like, and at this point, a lot of us are panicking because we think there's some type of shooter or something, because that makes sense. And finally, they just opened the doors and let us go, and they wouldn't tell us anything still.
Story that ever happened to me in my school. So one day we were just chilling by the cafeteria like we always do when the principal announced that there was a lockdown happening, like right now, and somebody was on our campus. Usually the lockdown would usually be the other side of the school. It was another school, so like they were a part of each other, but it was like another school on the other side, and that was middle school. And it usually would be the lockdowns there, but this time the person was on our site in our campus, so we like never experienced this before. So we just went into our classrooms, locked the door, shut the blinds, and hide in our hiding places. I would hide under my teacher's desk, and it had like a blanket on top of it. Like she put a blanket on top of it for us to hide underneath so they wouldn't see us. So I was just chilling down there, minding my own business, and I was not really scared because I didn't know that the person was actually on our campus. And like we've been through this a million times, so I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But I really wasn't fine until my teacher got an email and it said like the guy was on our side of the campus. I was like, oh no. And my panic mode just turned on. I was just waiting until the lockdown was over, but come back for part 2. Like I said, we had a lockdown happening at our school. So we're just staying there, and like I said, my teacher got an email and like kind of like panicked because it was in our campus, not the middle schoolers' campus. So I was just like right there. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Am I going to survive this? And then I heard like footsteps on down the hallway, and I just don't know. I'm like, oh my God, is that the person? And the person like knocks on our door, and then they just move on and keep on knocking on all the doors. So I'm like waiting, and I'm terrified because they knocked on our door, and I'm like so scared right now. So my teacher gets up and she goes out of the door to check. I don't know why she did, and we heard gunshots. Yeah, and we knew what happened. So we didn't do anything. We were just silent, and some of us started crying. So my class is just waiting there and terrified, and the door was open, and we didn't know if the guy was still, or the woman, we didn't know who it was like still there. Come back for part 3. Here is part 3. So we didn't know if the woman or the man was still right there. So we just stayed in our hiding places, and I had my friends with me, and I told my friends one of us has to sacrifice and check. And we all agreed, and I agreed that I would go because I was the one that made the decision. So I went to go, and I saw my teacher lay on the ground, but she wasn't shot. It just looked like she got passed out. But I was curious still, what was that gunshot? So I looked around, I saw a gun on the floor, but it was like next to my teacher's hand. I'm like, wait, what happened? So I picked up the gun just in case, and I just looked everywhere, and I didn't see anyone. So I went back to classroom. I brought the teacher in there and closed the door shut. My friends saw me in shock and like, oh my God, you're alive. And we just stayed there. Then the principal announced that the lockdown was over, and the hospital came rushing into the ambulance came rushing to our room to take my teacher in, and a few days later she was okay, And to this very day, I don't know what happened to the guy or the woman. I think they just disappeared because they did not want to get in trouble. That's it. Bye bye.
Then a loudspeaker went on and said, "Teachers, please activate yourselves into lockdown." I was confused but mad at the same time. My teacher looked at her phone and looked shocked. She then started moving kids away from the windows. That's when I started to get scared. My teacher tried to keep a straight face to not get us worried, but I could tell she was scared. A few minutes later the loudspeaker went on again and said, "Teachers, please return to your normal schedule." We went to lunch and my friends started talking about the lockdown and how scary it was. But then I said that it was just a drill and my friends said, it wasn't a drill.